Hello, my name is Janice B Gordon, and this is Scale Your Sales Podcast. Now, welcome to Scale Your Sales Podcast, listed number 9 of 43 best podcasts for every sales professional. I am Janice B Gordon, the customer growth expert, listed and awarded RevTech strategist of 2024. Now, today's episode of Scale Your Sales Podcast is a very special episode. It's a special edition for this wonderful festive period. So in 2024, it's been a very transformative year with highlights from remarkable guests of Scale Your Sales podcast who have helped to shape the future of B2B sales. So today I'm going to be talking about some of those key lessons and conversations that I have with these excellent and very informed guests, talking about some of the trends to help us move forward into 2025. You know me, I'm a stat person. I love great research. So of course, I will be quoting many stats for you. So you want a pen and paper or to listen to this podcast, more than once. So yeah, let's get into some of the top trends that are shaping sales success and influencing what happened in 2024. So the first one I want to talk about is customer-centric strategies. Now, the Scale Your Sales podcast, we've been talking about customer centricity for a long, long time. And slowly the market is catching up with us. And there's been a real shift in empathy, EQ-driven selling and customer outcomes really kind of critical to closing deals and building loyalty. Now, guests like Charlene Lee emphasize that leading with empathy and EQ are non-negotiable today in this sales environment. Charlene shared insights on how EQ-driven sales enable sales team to better understand and meet evolving customer needs. Now, Salesforce 2024 State of the Connected Customer Report says that 88% of B2B buyers are more likely to buy from companies they feel understand their needs. And there's always been a huge gap between what buyers feel sellers understand and what the seller thinks they understand. And we need to start closing that gap. So these stats underscore the importance of customer-first strategies in sales efficiency through technology. Now, this is very much a principle of Scale Your Sales framework and has been for many years, buyer centricity and customer-led approaches. So the other trend of 2024 that's really highlighted in many of the conversations that I had was sales efficiency through technology. And I think this is important because it's changing into 2024. So if we recap on how technology from CRM advancements and sales analytics allowed teams to optimize productivity and customer engagement. Now, in 2023, we learned that we cannot continue to throw tech at a problem without first assessing the problem we need to solve. So we kind of learned that. And also the finances began to dry out, to kind of like really kind of solidify that, we can't continue to do what we've always done and expect a different result. So in 2024, with the economic challenges and less investment funding sources, sales efficiency surged as through technological innovation, from CRM upgrades to advanced sales analytics, optimizing productivity and customer connections. Now, we offer Scale, which is a data-based foundations, data-based decision-making, and helping sales leaders gain a strategic roadmap from hiring, training, and sales performance, and ensuring data-informed decisions are made to measure success. So I argue that we have moved away from tech-driven approaches that aligns with the findings of McKinsey, showing data-informed companies outperforming others in customer acquisition by 23%, but moving away from tech-driven approaches, and that's towards data-driven approaches in 2025. And I'll talk more about that later. Now, so these insights, so McKinsey said, showing that data-informed companies outperform customer acquisition by 23%. So in 2024, 2023 is very much throw tech at it, tech-led approach. Now, I believe, and this is backed up by McKinsey, that it's a data-led approach into 2025, which is really key and important. So these insights make it clear a shift towards technology-empowered growth, yes, but actually the use of, and it's underlined by data, but it's the use of underlined by AI. Why can't I get my words out today? Oh, clarity, Janice, clarity. I'm thinking of Christmas and the wine that's waiting for me. Maybe that's it. Anyway, so these insights make clear a shift towards data-empowered growth underlined by AI. Ugh. Maybe I ought to strike this. It's technology-led growth underlined by AI with data as the essential tool and process in order to get there in 2025, to stay competitive in 2025. Let's move from this subject, this trend, and move more towards another subject that's always been close to my heart, and I've talked about a lot from the beginnings of Scale Your Sales podcast, which is in its fifth year now. So diversity in sales is the third trend, and let's hope I'm not tripping over any more of my words. Okay, so diversity in sales. Okay, so diversity in sales. Now, I talk to an awful lot of leaders and salespeople. I'm keynoting, I'm hosting panels, I'm on panels, and I hear and I feel the frustration. Some talk about, there's very much a step back with a lot that's happened in America. Is that going to happen in Europe? So diversity in sales has really taken a step back if we're looking at the numbers. Either they're not changing, so we're moving backwards because they're not progressing. So there's a frustration. Progress is really, really slow. There is some progress, but it's in, little pockets. So you all know I've been campaigning about diversity in revenue generating roles for many, many years. And on Scale Your Sales podcast, I had a great discussion with Sharon Smith, the commercial director of CPM. And she shed light on her experiences as she kind of moved up the career ladder into leadership and board level position, but also the role of diversity and inclusion in sales. So it was great hearing her experience. Now, many Scale Your Sales podcast guests have talked about, or we've discussed about inclusion driving team success and innovation. And, I'm always mentioning stats, me, LinkedIn 2024 Workplace Learning Report reveals that companies with diverse teams outperform less diverse teams by 35% in customer engagement metrics, linking directly to the bottom line growth. So more needs to be done in 2025. So we've talked about the three main trends that kind of coming through in 2024: customer-centric strategies, sales efficiency through technology, which includes AI, of course. So there's so much talk about AI, and diversity in sales, still campaigning. There isn't much progress, some lights, but we need to do more. So let's kind of move on, and hopefully I found my words now. Let's move on in this special edition of Scale Your Sales podcast in this glorious season to talk about some of the lessons learned from many of the guests over the last year in 2024. Now, you will often do a review, and so this isn't a review covering lots and lots of the episodes and what we discuss, but I wanted it to be more theme led. So kind of really to highlight some of the themes that we talked about in 2024. So customer retention and revenue growth. Revenue growth has been a massive theme in 2024. And one great strategy, I was lucky enough to have on Dan Pfister as a guest, and we talked a lot about customer retention and revenue growth. And this was in episode 258. And we discussed strategies to retain lost customers and how through tailored win-back tactics and strategies, you can, increase the bottom line results. And it's a strategy that's often overlooked. And this is supported by Forbes, stats by Ford, noting that improving retention by 5% can increase profits by 95%. I mean, that is 5% retention, 95% is a bit of a no-brainer. It underscores the value of ongoing customer relationships and recovery strategies. It's one of those things that we're afraid to do, but actually what we discuss on the podcast is that when you have great recovery strategies, you have great strategies of retaining, because the one thing leads into another. You don't lose customers because you have great win-back strategies. So it's a good thing to do. So the other trend that came through was in how sales leadership is evolving. Now, I was honored to host a panel discussion on sales leadership at the Sales Innovation Expo, November 2024. But I often discuss leadership. And so the ultimate leader, a discussion with Mary Shea in episode 254, emphasized the importance of leadership, but not only leadership, but diverse leadership, and the adaptability of fostering growth through diverse leadership. And this was very much backed up. The discussion I had with Mary Shea was backed up by McKinsey's research that showed that companies with diverse executive teams are 25% more likely to achieve above average profitability, making a case for why diversity drives results. So that's excellent report and stat there. Why aren't we doing more of it? Yes, so we discuss very much that, and I'm often discussing that diverse sales leadership. It hasn't really moved very much from 24, 25%. And we're talking about women in sales. We're not talking about the true definition of diversity in sales. So it's more gender diversity is the 24%. So we've got a long way to go. Another trend from the discussions that I had on the Scale Your Sales podcast in 2024 was aligning sales and customer goals. Now, I've had Dr. Stephen Timms on before, but this time we were talking about revenue enablement and their excellent ebook that is co-authored with Siobhan Thatcher. So this is an episode 255. We highlight the power of aligning customers with organizational goals, and the way of doing that is through enablement. And so you really just got to go and read the book. And this is what was great about the strategies in the book is actually it's almost like a how-to. Often we talk about things in theory, but this was really step by step. Here is the framework, go get it. And it illustrates how aligning these priorities builds trust, and particularly in B2B sales, where 75% of buyers now expect a personalized buying experience, according to Gartner, and enablement is a way of doing that. So one of the 4 trends discussed with the guest on Scale Your Sales podcast was really future-proofing for 2025. And I discussed this with James Cuthbertson in episode 257, and who stresses the importance of equipping sales teams with the tools for data-driven decision-making. And Deloitte reports that data-driven organizations are 23% more likely to acquire customers, emphasizing how this skill set can be a real differentiator. And you know, or hopefully you know, I advocate for Scale, which is the data-informed decision-making process that offers deep insights into individual sales competencies, helping leaders, CEOs, CROs, sales leaders make informed decisions about their hiring of these key personnel, revenue generating personnel, the training, and also maximizing their team's productivity. I often talk about the crystal ball being foggy when you acquire a sales team as a leader, as a CEO, when you're growing a sales team, and that sales team also being smaller going into 2025. You need to know you've got the right person in the right seats. And if you have that, you're almost halfway there. And we've all made so many mistakes in hiring the wrong people, not managing them efficiently. So from the foggy crystal ball, what it does is it creates that clarity, a clear crystal ball, and gives you the roadmap to success. So according to OMG, sales teams that use data-driven hiring, training, assessments are 75% more productive. Well, who wouldn't want that? 75% more productive. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I'm talking to you about many of the trends that we need to be aware of, and what we discuss on Scale Your Sales podcast are leaders' experience of giving real case studies and examples, but also the how to do it. What is the framework? And I'm very much an advocate for that. So we know 2024 has been the key theme has been AI in sales. And it's, you know, we're very much at the beginning of this, and how to get more people using the processes and the tools that will make teams more productive. And so we've talked a lot about this throughout the year on the podcast, and it's really about a transforming landscape, making it a top trend going forward into 2025 and beyond. Its influence spans lead generation, personalized outreach, predictive analytics, making sales teams more efficient and potentially more customer-centric. And I say potentially because I'm not talking about automation and AI and not having the human aspect in it. What I'm talking about is, and what I do, and I advocate for the people I advise to do, is it's a great research tool that saves teams a great deal of time. So you go in to have those human conversations more armed with great resources. And that's, I think, the best use case for AI at the moment. But you've got to know how to use it. Rubbish in, rubbish out. So research by Salesforce highlights that 57% of sales leaders using AI see improved sales productivity. Moreover, McKinsey reports that AI-driven sales tools can increase lead generation efficiency by up to 50%. Meanwhile, AI in sales is now a game changer and supports smarter lead qualification and personalized outreach. According to Gartner, 75% of B2B sales organizations are set to use AI in 2025. So this is a trend that is going to grow in significance going forward into 2025 and really helps teams' productivity and customer engagement if you use it right. So some of the episodes that we discussed AI in sales was episode 256 with Paula Lender-Swain, who works for HPE. and enterprise, HP Enterprise. She explores from the public sector sales innovation through AI. And then also, I've mentioned this before, episode 254 with Mary Shea, discussing how AI enhances decision-making in sales leadership, but also as a research tool as well, to make sure you have the right people in the right seats. You're searching and finding the right people. So I highly encourage you to listen to the full episodes. It's just a snippet of them that I've mentioned here, but you can go to the website scaleyoursales.co.uk/podcast, and you'll see all of the episodes there. Also on our YouTube channel, we have a podcast playlist of all of the episodes, so you can listen to it. Of course, your favorite podcast listening channels, whether it's iTunes or Spotify, or the podcast will lead you to the YouTube or go directly to Janice B Gordon YouTube channel. So you can view it, you can see it, you can listen to it, but please do that. We have great audience engagement. I'm constantly getting messages on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn's Janice B Gordon. People that have enjoyed the conversations, got real insight from the practical strategies from the guests, the quality of guests as well. So, you know, I really feel privileged and lucky to be able to share these insights with you. We carefully select our guests and don't rinse and repeat guests from other sales podcasts, but do our research and make sure that we find people that have an interesting and diverse perspective and are really understanding what they need to do to continue to modernize revenue generation and sales. So please do go to scaleyoursales.co.uk/podcast for all of the full episodes. All right, so we've talked about some of the key trends that's come through in 2024. We've talked about and highlighted some of the episodes where we've discussed some of these key trends for 2024. So this special episode is very much about moving into 2025. So in summary, I kind of wanted to wrap this up with three critical takeaways for achieving success in 2025 in sales and revenue generation. So my first, of course, is customer-centric sales. This is a principle of Scale Your Sales framework, along with my second takeaway, which is data-driven decisions. Now, it's not just because these are principles of Scale Your Sales framework. It just means we've been talking about Scale Your Sales, talking about this on Scale Your Sales podcast, but it's very, very topical. So, customer-centric sales, prioritizing customer journeys and outcomes is absolutely paramount. Buyers increasingly expect personalized engagement, consultative experience, and Gartner reports that by 2025, so right now, 80% of B2B sales interactions will occur digitally, emphasizing the need for customer-centric digital engagement. So we talked about how AI can help to support this in the research that you do. But I want to be really clear in my second takeaway, data-driven decisions, not tech-driven decisions, data-driven decisions as a key takeaway to take forward into 2024. And this is leveraging data analytics. Now, like I've mentioned before, Scale, which is our data foundations that we do with all of our clients to help them to make data-driven decisions about their sales and revenue generating resource, their teams, their processes, the sales process that they use, and the customer-centric strategies. We want to make sales revenue generation predictive. We want to make sure that our customers become our partners. And this is what we do through Scale Your Sales framework. But one of the processes is starting with the data by doing the assessment. So that we call this scale. So it'll help to empower sales leaders to optimize their talent and predict buyer behavior, enhance productivity. This is backed up by McKinsey that finds data-driven organizations are 16 times more likely to be profitable. Really key and important. So moving from tech-driven approach to a data-driven approach, and this is very much embedded in Scale Your Sales framework. So that is the second takeaway going forward into 2025. Customer-centric sales, data-driven decision-making, data. Don't throw tech at the problem. We need to discover really what the problem is. And that means we need to do better research and using data to enable us. So talking about data, AI integration. This is the third trend into 2025. AI will streamline your workflows. It's already started to do that, but it will continue to evolve and transform the way we generate revenue. So from automating lead generation to personalizing human, don't forget, personalizing human interactions, right? We're not allowing AI to continue to run riot unchecked. What we want to make sure that it's an enabler to the human interactions. We know where is best to apply the human interactions. Salesforce notes that 57% of sales leaders are using AI report that increase productivity, indicating a intelligent tech adoption will be essential to stay competitive in 2025. So it's using AI intelligently. Okay, so that's the third trend. So we took customer-centric sales, data-driven decision-making, AI integration are the three key trends going forward that we need to continue to evolve into the way that we generate revenue. So I would love your recommendations to me to interview executives with an interesting perspective on revenue generation and operations, sales operations and customer centricity. These are the subjects I talk a lot about. I talk a lot about data-informed decision-making and how we're using that in the revenue generation, operations, sales operations, and customer centricity. So if you have an executive leader in your organization that you would love to put forward because of the way that they're driving these themes, I would love to hear from you. So please do connect with me on LinkedIn, Janice B Gordon, and make your recommendations. I'd love to have that. I'm really keen to interview more of those executives that are the coalface that are really moving forward in revenue generation, go-to-market strategies, productivity. So I want to have more of those conversations. So please do make your recommendations. As mentioned, go on to scaleyoursales.co.uk/podcast for deeper insights and more practical strategies of the full conversations that I have with our great experts that come on and share their expertise and their experience. So please do go to either YouTube or the website or listen on your favorite channel. But do not forget to leave your testimonials. Leave a review on iTunes. Reviews really do help us to spread the word, to share the podcast with more people. And talking about sharing, please do, over this seasonal period, Send a podcast episode that you've listened to someone you like, a friend, a colleague, so that it's only 30 minutes for them to gain real insight. So I'd love you to tell me who you've shared the podcast episode with, friends and colleagues. And please do leave a review. So let's make 2025 a year of truly embodying customer centricity, resilience and innovation and productivity. I'm doing this through data-led decision-making, data-informed decision-making. So 2025 is really a year where we can excel. I would love to thank all of my excellent guests that shared their experience and expertise and joined us on Scale Your Sales podcast in 2024. So here's to scaling new heights in 2025. Thank you so much for supporting Scale Your Sales podcast, listening to the podcast, sending in your reviews, sharing the excellent episodes with your friends and colleagues. Without your support, we couldn't continue the podcast. So I love to hear from people that have listened to the podcast, that have left a review. I really do appreciate you. I do feel honored and completely pumped up when I have a recording day of guests, because I learn as much as I hope you do too. So here's to a wonderful first quarter in 2025. Here's to learning new skills, new insights through the podcast. And here's to you. Thank you so much. Have a great season and thank you for listening.